I'm getting a little weird little button thingy or whatever, like from Streamlabs. So I don't know. They're working on my live stream. I don't know. It's 60% published. It's 100% published. Okay, so let's do this. It's my birthday. Happy birthday to me. I just woke up from a nap, and now I've got to have I ought to be awoken from I got to be awoken from a nap by some white leftist, all full of him fucking self, and his black counterpart, all high on her own Afro sheen. Okay. And I gotta sit around and I gotta listen to these people day in and day out talk about this bullshit like they know what the fuck is good for the rest of us. So, tonight, now they woke the dragon. Because now I'm a little mad. One of my leftist influences, especially early on in my life, was Noam Chomsky. Right? Our economics teacher, I think she thought she was being like bold, introducing like kids to Noam Chomsky. I already knew who the fuck Noam Chomsky was. Noam Chomsky ain't right about everything. I don't think any leftist is right about everything. Because that's fucking stupid.
That's you, baby.
Shut up. I love you, but shut up. But let's talk about this take from this proud socialist. There are very few people in U.S. politics who use their platform to challenge the corporate duopoly. That's literally what everybody does! Bitch, you acting like, oh, she's so special! Because she's criticizing the Democrats and Republicans? Motherfuckers been doing that since the 1700s! But no, she's so special! How special? Let me lick your asshole, black girl, because I damn sure ain't gonna do anything for your political interests. Hello, Videodrome. Now, they done woke the dragon. And I applaud her for asking Noam Chomsky tough questions about how blind obedience has resulted in a rightward shift. Nobody is blindly obedient to a party that had to disavow labor unions because there wasn't no money in it, and take the difference between what labor unions, with the shortfall of labor unions, and take that from corporations. Nobody is blind here, bruh. But I'll tell you fucking something. When it comes to the short-term political benefit of Latino people in this country, of black people in this country, of Asian people in this country, do you know who fucking benefits us? It's fucking Democrats. And niggas don't seem to like that. God damn. You know, I have not seen leftists run around and act like they got power more than they have now. Because I guess that report from the victims of communism got to their head when it said, oh, you know, leftist ideology is on the rise in the United States. I feel like that got to our heads a little bit. Now somebody gassed us up, and now we feel like we run shit. Let me remind you, leftists, you don't run shit. You've got 3 council members in fucking Portland, Oregon, and you got AOC. That's all you got, nigga. You ain't got shit. You ain't got nobody on the Supreme Court. You ain't got nobody in the federal court. You ain't got nobody on the state level. You ain't got nobody you barely got anybody on the city level. You ain't got shit. Stop acting like you run shit because you don't run shit. You ain't doing shit for my people. All you fucking doing is running your mouth on Twitter like you got something to do. You ain't got no political capital. You ain't got no real capital, nigga. But yet here you are, running your mouth, reinforcing people's belief that we can't just vote for Democrats. We have to be voting for these third parties. We gotta get them in power first. How the fuck? So you get a green in power amongst a bunch of Democrats who don't agree with them. Then what? Just sit back, I suppose. Sit back. That green gonna take it over, baby. Just sit your ass on back. No, you know what fucking socialists like this one? You know what a lot of these motherfuckers sit around and want? These motherfuckers sit around and want somebody prepackaged that they can just leave alone. I ain't gotta push them. I ain't gotta send no emails. I ain't gotta do no political work because he already believes what I believe. She already believes what I believe. So I can just let it ride and go about my fucking day. That ain't the way politics works, boo-boo. I'm gonna tell you something. You could live in the ideal society of your ideology. You still have to push. You still got to be out there every day making sure that motherfuckers do what you ask them to do. You still have to cajole. You still gonna have to double deal. You still got to do shit you ain't gonna like. The leftists are under some kind of fucking weird delusion that, like, because people listen to them on Twitter, because people kind of listen to them in public, because somebody, hi Diamanda, because somebody might write an article about them occasionally, that somehow they're actually in power. Well, I'm here to gut check you niggas. You don't run a goddamn thing. You're running around acting like you run shit, haven't done any of the grassroots work to run shit, and now you're running your mouths at the most critical election for all of the people in. And so if you do your video, Drone. I'm gonna be here. And now, at the most critical point for all people of color in this country, the people that you claim to support, which is why I'm really fucking pissed off, and why I've been pissed off for a hot minute, and I stayed my ass off of Twitter, because I don't want to deal with it. But for the most critical election for your allies, for the people you claim to support, because guess what? Joe Biden ain't gonna be sitting out. He might not do everything we want him to do, but the nigga ain't gonna sit out here and endorse people who murder trans people. He ain't gonna sit out here and endorse people who murder black people. Okay? He ain't gonna sit out here and whiffle waffle about LGBTQ rights. He ain't gonna sit out here and whiffle waffle about whether he support white supremacy or not. And at the most critical election for your allies, you sit around like a bitch and you make arguments against the people we need to support in order to ensure that we get a tyrant, a person that you proclaim as a fascist out of office. So you telling me you would take the same attitude if this nigga was throwing people in the camps? Because just because there ain't Zyklon B running, all right? Just because there ain't cages, just because you can't see the cages, don't mean they ain't there, my niggas. I don't give a fuck. I am so tired of white leftists. I am so fucking tired of white leftists who use our issues, who use the issues of trans people, who use the issues of black people, who use the issues of fucking LGBTQ people, who use our issues to further their agenda, but they ain't doing shit for us. I am so fucking sick of them. Because that's what the fuck they're doing. That's what the fuck this peon is doing. He is using us to advance his political agenda, and he knows full well if we achieve the socialist state, he don't give a shit what happens to us after that. He don't give a shit what happens to black people after that, because he wants a socialist state to pay off his student loans. He don't give a fuck about me. Fuck him, fuck his podcast, fuck his whiteness. I hope somebody light him on fire. Today, nigga. It's time for leftists to make some hard fucking choices. And if your ass ain't sitting around in power, then you're going to have to co-opt somebody who can. I'm not sure... How I feel about socialism is I'm for a market socialist society. I'm for making those steps toward having a society where all the markets are owned by the people, where we have a world in which there are no more bosses, in which there are no more middle managers, in which we are directly control the economy and we directly control the political sphere. Now, I recognize that my vision for the world is one that needs education for its undertaking. Because you can't just throw an undereducated population the responsibility of running an economy, big or small, and expect that they're going to know what the fuck they're doing. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to make mistakes with governance. So I believe there's a big undertaking. I believe in socialism. I don't necessarily believe that socialism is the final step. I believe that my ideal for socialism is something that is a stepping stone towards something that hasn't yet been created. That the marks for that new ideology isn't around yet. That person hasn't written that manifesto yet. We don't know what happens after socialism. And I'm not trying to build a society that says communism or anarchism or socialism is the end. I am trying to build a society that makes sure that when the better form of economy comes around, they can implement it. I don't want to tell the future what they should have. I'll be dead. I want to make people's lives better in the now and open up a political system that allows for people to progress in the future. No. Don't you worry, Video Joe. I got your meaning. Honey. That's how I feel about it. I do not watch Sarin. I may be subscribed, but like all my I have like 800 subscriptions, so I probably don't get to her videos. I don't watch a whole lot of political YouTubers, but I will definitely check them out. You know, drop their name in the chat. I wanted to make a less angry video than this about this subject, but I'm just full of rage. Because I know, the one thing I know is that white people don't really give a shit. It don't matter left, right, or center. White people be racist. And frankly, let's talk about a little pivotal issue here that white leftists have never addressed, and it's funny to me. My husband does, because he has to live with me, so he has to hear this all the time. Tell me, other than socialism, other than saying that socialism would be an equal playing field or communism would create an equal playing field, explain to me, white leftists, what are black people getting out of socialism exactly? Exactly. Explain to me. Because I know in my vision, we're getting common ownership. We're getting the opportunity to own assets in the countries in which we live. We're getting the opportunity to own the ground under our feet. If you elected me emperor of the world tomorrow, I'm handing over fucking Fort Knox to black people the next morning. All right? Point blank. That's your asset now, black people. This is yours. This is your reparations. You're now in control of Fort Knox. Well, you want to sell it to Nigeria? I don't really give a fuck. It's yours. Do with it what you will. But here's my point. White socialists want us to ostensibly throw away years of working in liberalism to attain power. But they won't tell us what we're working for exactly. Black Socialists of America do a great job of kind of explaining what their vision is for what we would get out of socialism. I applaud them. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about white socialists. Because guess what? I don't think that a lot of white socialists really give a shit about what happens to black people. I think a lot of white socialists, particularly those people who are professional socialists on the internet, I think that black people provide them a nice narrative to tell about oppression and the oppression of the capitalist system. And look at the poor black people who have to suffer every day under police rule. Right? It gives them a nice narrative about the police state, how terrible the Western world is. It gives them a nice narrative to tell each other. But when it comes down to logistics, what will black people gain for the exchange of the power that we have gained in the liberal system, however little or small that is? Whatever small or large gains we've gained under a neoliberal system. So, I want to know, what are black people exchanging? What am I getting as a black socialist out of white people and white socialists? What am I getting in exchange for that, for what I'm giving up? And I have never heard white socialists tell me once what the fuck I'm getting. Because they don't give a fuck. A lot of socialists don't give a fuck. A lot of communists out here don't give a fuck. A lot of anarchists don't give a fuck. A lot of motherfuckers are running around on YouTube, running around on fucking Twitter, LARPing as revolutionaries because, you know, oh, my daddy would be so upset, my conservative daddy will be so upset if he finds out that I'm a communist. I appreciate that, Diamanda. That is true. You can't really do anything in socialism without intersectionalism. That one means these motherfuckers won't try. Just because you can't really do it, don't mean white people won't try. Do I think that black and queer people and women will be amazing leaders? Of course. But the way the socialist movement is shaping up right now, black queer women are not at the forefront of socialism, right? White heterosexual cis men are at the forefront of socialism. Hell, white queer men are at the forefront of socialism. It's not women. It's not black women. It's not trans black women. It's not queer women. And movements are not ruled by the people they should be. They're ruled by the people who society deemed were out front from the beginning. All right. I don't think, yeah, and I'm proud of you because you are not, I don't think that you're LARPing, right? But I think there are a lot of people running around, particularly people who are like revolutionary, who LARP. And that's my own angry little heart because I do feel angry. I appreciate you, Videodrome, at least taking those things to your father. I was lucky. I was a lucky person, right? I lived in a place where most people believe what I believe. My parents believed what I believed, and if they didn't, I could convince them. Diamanda says, class reductions are trying to make a bird fly after sawing off one of its wings. There you go. I agree. I think that ultimately we are faced with a situation where we have another situation where white people are like, just trust us. Just trust us. Again, I think black socialists of America are trying their best to come up with ideas, to come up with logistics that are going to benefit black people, right? I think there are organizations out there trying to come up with the best logistics to benefit black people. But I am not a socialist to benefit just black people. I'm a socialist to benefit everyone. But my foremost concern are black people and people of color and people who are marginalized. LGBTQ people, all the gambits. People of religious minorities. My first concern as a socialist, Diamanda, you right. I should. But I get so cagey about making videos. I want to do it, I want to do this, I want to do that, and then I don't do shit, right? As a person with depression, it's always hard to, like, motivate myself to do shit, because I'm like, I don't look good, and my hair is fucked up, and I need to put on makeup, and I need to do this and that and the other, instead of just being like, okay, pulling the coffin and saying, all right, I've turned on the camera, this is what's happening, this is what we're doing, right? And it's really only when I'm pushed to, like, pure anger that I just, like, turn the camera on. So, no, you're right, Diamanda. I mean, you're one of the few people who can get that presumptuous of me, all right? And I love you for it. Mwah. But here's my thing, Videodrome. How will black people would be making a severe exchange, right? Black people made a lot of choices along the way about who we were going to support, about it wasn't as if, you know, we grew up in this vacuum where socialism wasn't a thing, right? We made a lot of choices. Mainstream blackness and mainstream black people made a lot of choices about who they were going to support, what ideologies they were going to support, and what was going to further the cause of black people. A lot of people made sacrifices. A lot of people who wanted to be socialists weren't socialists because they were afraid of having now another factor to be discriminated against. I am not saying that necessarily that we couldn't achieve some form of class reduction. But what worries me is I'm not seeing white people who claim to be my allies in this. What my primary tip is I'm not seeing white people who claim to be my allies in this show me the sort of understanding of my political struggle that I think they would need to have. One, if they're going to be my allies in the short and medium term, and two, if the system that they want to promote is one that's supposed to help me, then I need to know specifically how and under what circumstances it helps me and what I'm exchanging what I've done for. And I feel like white people, particularly white leftists, are not making that exchange. And I feel like there are a lot of black leftists who are willing to go along with the agenda of white leftists because it's popular. Because my podcast will blow up. Because I can get those interviews. Because if I start criticizing white leftists, am I going to get those interviews? Am I going to get access to white leftists? Am I going to be able to continue my career? The same things, the same factors still apply. Y'all know me. I ain't never made a dime off this channel. I ain't never gonna make a dime off this channel. I don't want to. I don't make money off my fucking YouTube channel because it's my fucking platform to say what the fuck I gotta say. And I will criticize leftists all day long if I think it'll make us better, if I think it'll make us more efficient, if I think it'll put us into power, because all I give a shit about is winning. And frankly, I feel like leftists don't know what the fuck they give a shit about. Yeah, we care about our ideology, but do you care about getting into power? Because that's my most pressing concern, is getting my ass into power. Cookie, you got any words for these motherfuckers?
Nah.
He said no.
You said what needs to be said, dude.
Thanks.
As you always do.
As a white, well, you're a white leftist. Am I wrong?
Nope. You're always right, baby.
He said no.
Especially on your birthday. Besides, you're the smart one here. I just say funny stuff.
You smart. I wouldn't have married you if you weren't smart. Okay, so Video Drum says, I've heard single issue voting had a lot to do with the fallout between white socialists who say the right things usually and black Democrats. Continuing on. Gun control advocates say much better gun control legislation flies with Democratic politicians. No clue whether this applies with women's reproductive rights, repairing Flynn, etc. I think there's a case to be made there, certainly on the first point, that single issue voters do cause some issues with black people because who are vote as Democrats, I should say. Because particularly right now, every election has become a referendum on Trump. It doesn't matter what else is on the ballot. For example, something really that should be really important to leftists and to black people and people in general is on the ballot right now here in Massachusetts, and that's the right to repair. Right, for independent automobile repairsmen. I don't know what they're called. The right for independent auto mechanics who are not affiliated with a dealership to have access to the data that is transmitted by your car now wirelessly. It used to be by a cable from a machine, and they could plug in a machine that you could buy on eBay to diagnose a car. Well, now that information is being transmitted wirelessly. It's important, particularly for, transportation issues, always important for Black people, right? I see leftists making especially white leftists making this election about Trump, when on the ballot there are a lot of issues concerning Black people. There are a lot of Black people on the ballot, but they are not making as big of an issue about that as they are about making this a referendum on Trump. And yet, while simultaneously making this a referendum on Trump, they are simultaneously like, oh, well, I can't support Joe Biden because X. And you know how I feel about shit. If you tell me that your conscience, that your up here brain is more important than my well-being, you know how I feel about you, bro. I think Democrats support a lot of shit. Democrats support, certainly the Democratic platform has had gun control in it since 1994. Earlier, since Reagan got shot. The Democratic platform has supported, reproductive rights, to a more limited fashion than I would prefer, but I live with it. The Democrats are the ones who the Republicans are the one who caused the Flint water crisis in the first place. So the Democrats are the ones who are of course trying to advocate and fix it. I don't think that Democratic politicians are our way out. I think that frankly our way out is pushing them to the left, is saying, no, just repairing Flint's water crisis isn't good enough. You need to look at the socioeconomics of Flint and how you can invest in Flint, Michigan in a way that's going to ensure that they have a better socioeconomic standing, right? It's not just a matter of me voting for a guy and then leaving it alone. I think that's this weird paradigm we have. That's what Noam Chomsky was trying to say. Like, hey, it's not just voting, right? You can't just check off a box and then go about your day as if, okay, now everything is fine, right? You have to do a lot of political groundwork, which Noam Chomsky has always been, he's always had like Karl Marx's organizer spirit, we're going to organize. Remember, a lot of leftists seem to forget, Marx wrote the Communist Manifesto, the nigga still had to organize them internationals, nigga. Like, you can't just wake up one day and be like, oh, we got the Communist Manifesto, we're good, it's good, hey baby, we got the Communist Manifesto, we're good, it's fine, politics is solved, it's over. We're all happy now, because Communist Manifesto got published, like,
there was communism. Right?
If you're gonna have any political system with any ideology, right? No matter what you have got to participate in the ground game. And Americans are fundamentally lazy about that. Americans do not like to participate in the ground game of politics anymore. We used to love that shit. That was our shit. Black, white, and center. We love that shit. But Americans have gotten a little bit lazy about organizing. Granted, you look at BLM, you look at Antifa, to the extent that Antifa are not an organization, but Antifa aren't an organization, but Antifa find each other. And they will come to protests. And they will make sure people have water, make sure there are med kits, make sure that protesters are safe, document when police are committing abuses. Like, so there are groups who are doing it right. There are groups who are killing the game. But on the whole, when it comes to organizing, we're not great at it anymore. And I think you've got a lot of leftists who just want, like, give me my prepackaged beliefs. What? Hi, baby. All right. I think you got a lot of leftists who are like, hey, you know why there are a lot of people still pissed off about Bernie Sanders? Because Bernie Sanders already believes what they want him to believe. They don't have to push him anywhere. So they're like, oh, I wanted him so bad. That's why there's still people running around like Bernie beats Trump. Like, who gives a shit? He lost. I'm not down on Bernie. I like a lot of his ideas. He's still a losing ass nigga. All right? Democrats love losing ass niggas though. Lord, we love that second chance. But anywho, before I lose the plot.
Third chance for Biden.
Yeah, Biden. That nigga. Well, does that? Don't you get like one erased if you get to be vice president? So like Kamala doesn't like this. Don't count as a loss for Kamala if she becomes vice president.
Sure, baby.
I don't know. That's not how it works, y'all. But before I lose the plot, and so I'm gonna get out of here real quick. I am uncomfortable with this notion that we don't have to support Democrats, that we don't have to support anybody but ourselves, because that takes a real undertaking. I can see we first you start pushing Democrats to the left, and then you start, when they're insufficient, when they have reached their limit of being pushed, then you have your socialists. Then you start putting people in the office who are further left than them. Right? But you gotta start pushing these niggas first. Yeah. And I support Bernie Sanders, but I recognized that he was just gonna be the president. Like, he could sign some executive orders, and he could use the power of the executive office to force organizations under him to do or not do things. But he was not going to be able to pass the sort of legislation we needed. See, frankly, if we got to get our agenda off the ground, we have a lot of groundwork to do first. We have everything from pushing the Democratic Party to the left, to getting more left people elected to office in the legislative branch, to getting more left executive branchers who are going to put in more left of progressives into executive positions. We need a leftist president who's going to put leftists on the Supreme Court, et cetera, et cetera. Because once you have those pieces in place, then you can pass the type of legislation you need. One, you don't have as much opposition from the Democrats, right? Supposedly your own side. We can get into that in another video. And two, you now, if you have a Supreme Court, or you have several state Supreme Courts, then you don't have the problem of, we wanted universal health care, but guess what, guys? The Supreme Court struck it down, and nobody's got the capital to pass a constitutional amendment. Okay? And Diamanda says, hard to disagree with your thesis on sheer practicality. I'm the pragmatic bitch. I recognize that pragmatism is not always the answer, but I also recognize that right now we're in a dearth of practicality and of pragmatism. We're living in a weird sort of space where, for the first time in a long time, we're kind of popular. I know where leftists are. This is like 1848. Maybe like 1847 for the revolutions break out. We're kind of popular. People like what we believe. And we're not sure how to take that popularity on the internet particularly, and even in real life, and to flip it into electoral power, right? And whenever leftists criticize each other on the internet, then you just a hater, bruh. That's what it breaks down to. I'm not a hater. I'm the most motherfucker. I'm the most the motherfuckers ever gonna meet. Cause a lot of motherfuckers who would run around and call me names, they used to be right wingers. Let's just keep it 1,000. They used to be right wingers. They used to be anti-SJWs. Ain't never been that, bruh. I've been a leftist since I was 14 years old. Ain't never looked back. And wasn't a right wing sympathizer before then. So I'm from the groups you wish to appeal to. I'm your neuroatypical, depression-having, African-American, Cherokee-American, white American, mixed American, fucking pansexual, socialist. I'm from all the groups, right, you wish to hit. And I love me some trans people. If it wasn't for a trans girl named Coco in San Francisco, I wouldn't be alive today. So,
thanks, Coco.
Cookie says thanks. So, I'm gonna tell you. In conclusion, We need to solve this issue now. We got a lot of shit we need to solve today. Fucking yesterday. Because we have to decide what type of force we are in this world. Are we a revolutionary force who are going to do the type of shit revolutionaries do to fucking win? I don't think so. I don't think internet leftists are prepared for the type of sheer amounts of violence that revolution brings. I don't think they're ready for that. I don't. In many ways, I don't think they're ready for that. In ways that'll make me sound like a bitch if like a real bitch if I fucking say which ways. You're not ready. Okay, you're not gonna do it. So if revolution is off the table for now, if violence is off the table, then we have to focus on those peaceful means to put us into power. And if we're gonna put ourselves into power, it's gonna be a long fucking struggle. And we cannot. And with the attitudes we have right now, like this motherfucker right here that you see on screen, we ain't going no fucking where. So it's time to choose. Do you want what I got to offer you? Or do you want more niggas like Ryan Knight, who I'm sure is more concerned about his fucking podcast than he's ever been about our ideology, about the cause, my nigga? You tell me. I'm gonna be here, though. I've been the Lady Columbia. Halisti Vosi. Queen of nothing. Queen of all the internet. I'll be seeing you soon. Good night, good morning, good afternoon. I want to thank Amanda Hagen and Video Drone for dropping in. It's been appreciated. I want to thank all of our viewers tonight because I am a dead meme. Good night, y'all. Think on my words.